I take this opportunity to welcome panelist Ms. Thank you, sir. Any panel is incomplete without a moderator. It's my privilege to welcome our moderator, CA Kulkarni. Mr. Kulkarni is a graduate from Bangalore University, started his practice in the year 2008. Sir has around experience as a practicing CA. He is expertise in the field of statutory audit, GST compliance, company registrations, project preparation, project appraisal, and tax planning. He is also a founder of CA Kulkarni & Co. I request Dr. Murli to offer a blossomy welcome to Sir. Murli, sir. Thank you, sir. It is time to bid a genial welcome to Professor Neelima Ma'am, HOD, School of Commerce, for this budget session 2023 in her absence. It's my privilege to welcome our academic coordinator, Professor Srinivas. It's my pride to welcome all the HODs, coordinators, and faculty members of different blocks of Jain deemed to be university for this session. We welcome you all. Last but not the least, I take this opportunity to welcome all the volunteers, students, and audience for this session 2023. I welcome you all for this panel discussion. Thank you, and over to you, MC. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us give a warm round of applause to our distinguished dignitaries for being here with us today. Thank you, ma'am. Let us give a warm round of applause to our distinguished dignitaries for being here with us today. Their presence and their support for this event. Thank you for taking out your precious time to be here with us. And now the time is near to start the panel discussion. I request all the panel members to go forth with the discussion. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Oh, thank you. Hi, good morning all. First of all, I thank Jain University staff and management and students for and giving an opportunity to share our views on budget 2023. We also do a lot of work from office because after pandemic routine, it is becoming a routine work. So coming out from office and mingling with young minds is our privilege to have come here and address the gathering here. So for that, I members of staff members of management and the staff members of Jain University. So my plan of action today is overall budget, and I will give to all the panelists to share their first views on the budget, like around 8 to 10 minutes will be allotted at a first initial round. Then again, I will come back and each your views on positive the budget. And at the end of the day, how you at the end of the this one, how you rate this budget in your view or in your expertise and this one. This is what expected. If any questions are there, we would like to address at one shot because we don't know which part of the section in the budget will be allotted to one who is interested to take that question. So we will address all the questions at the end. So till then, you can keep your question. So at the end, we will address all the question. So let me start with the budget. So first, what is the budget? So everybody know the earlier the definition was illiterate before independent, who doesn't know how to read and write. Now we have traveled beyond that. Everybody knows read and write and how to use the laptops and how to use the mobiles, and you can see even villages have a better mobile than what we have. So now we have traveled to that, and now the illiterate definition has changed over a period of time. Now it is not the person who don't know how to read. Let me go with the next slide. So how to look at this budget? Very important thing is, so how to look at this budget? Very important thing is, we should not look the budget in isolation. So what is happening with the global scenario, we should keep in mind. So these are all the things happening. So some of them I have listed. Now the China issue is haunting on us. China is a major supplier of raw material. We cannot be analyzing the budget without analyzing these global geopolitical issues. So China issue is one of the important issue where the many people are depending on the uh, um, um, raw materials of China. Global pandemic, as you know, COVID is haunting, it has still not gone. Russia and Ukraine war is troubling us, and there is a cut in the gas from the Europe. OPEC has decided to cut the export of oil. So globalization and oil. So globalization and deglobalization. After 90s, the India has energetically practiced globalization. We went out and invested, and we opened up all our social sector to the private people. Now, after pandemic, everybody wants to become a deglobalized. They want to themselves restrict from the globalization. Again, localization has started. That's why you see the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Why Atmanirbhar? We are depending everything on the other countries. Now, again, coming back, and we are doing it on Atmanirbhar. That is nothing but deglobalization or localization, we can call it as. So Asian territorial disputes, you know, Taiwan and India-China border issue. The army is standing still for more than 1 year. There is a cost involved into it. So you should think of that also. Cost is there for keeping the army in preparedness. So that is also a constraint on the government. Global slowdown, you have seen that Zomato and Amazon and this one are laying off like anything. I don't go by numbers, because numbers, it is not fact. So it may be increasing or more. It will be more only, but what is released for the people, it will be less only. So I will see that these are all the scenarios. And political instability is there, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and what has happened in Afghanistan. And major one villain in the development is inflation. Inflation kills your development. Inflation itself has contributed for your development. So with this scenario, you need to see the budget, what has happened. So with this background, let us move on to the next thing. So I will take another 5 minutes to just brief what are the revenues, and then I will hand it over to Salil for the first round of his opinion on the budget. Let me go with the numbers. Little bit, it is just to next slide. Yeah, these are all the numbers. I feel you will see that. I will leave next slide. Yeah, these are all the numbers. I feel you will see that. I will leave my presentation here only. You can use it afterwards also. See, total tax revenue of the government is, gross tax revenue I'm talking about, 33.60 lakh crores. So it is a total overall budget of 45 lakh 30 45 lakh 3 45 lakh, 3,060 lakh. This is the gross revenue. In the gross revenue, the corporate tax is there, major contributor, which contributes 10% to the gross revenue collection. And income tax, that is a personal income tax, which contributes 10%, 9 lakh crore. And corporate tax is 9.22 crore. Goods and service tax, which contributes 9.96 crore, which is not entirely a kitty of central government. It also has to pay the its share to the state, which is called as SGST. It has to again remit back whatever it collects IGST as a part of that to the state. That is the custom duty. As you know, now after GST, the custom duty is the only one thing which is extra the central government is levying. Which is around 2.3 lakh crore. Union excise duty 3.39 crore, because it is on majorly on the petrol and arrack. So this has been kept away in the GST net. The petrol is still not bought in service tax has reduced to 0, but still there is a 500 crore collection which will be an arrears and pending disputes. So that is the one thing. So next central government revenue is 23 point net. This is a gross what we are talking 30.60. Net collection after giving it to the state is only 23.30 lakh crore what the central government gets as a revenue share, and 10.21 lakh, which is a state of a state share. It will give it to the states in the form of GST and IGST, income tax share, all those things. And non-tax revenue, which is 3.01 lakh, is a non-tax revenue which comes from interest. Also, it gives the dividend. RBI gives the dividend, and public sector tax revenue, which is 3.01 lakh, is a non-tax revenue which comes from interest. Also, it gives the dividend. RBI gives the dividend, and public sector RBI gives the dividend, and public sector undertaking will give the dividend. It also receives the interest from the bonds and all those things wherever it has invested. So this is a 3.01 lakh is a non-taxation revenue. Put together, non-tax revenue is other non-tax revenue is 1.81 crore. So disinvestment plan, government has planned to disinvest, like LIC. Last time you have seen it. So many disinvestment plans are there, which is estimated to give a 51,000 crore rupees, which is estimated. Other parameters are only for the revised budgeted and all for your academic purpose for comparison. So I have put it everything on the last side, which is important, and last 23-24 is important for us. So total borrowing, very important and very disturbing point is borrowing. Borrowings are increasing because usually a development countries cannot give a revenue surplus budget. It has to give always a revenue deficit budget, because there is a constraint on the resources what it gets to spend, and there is a constraint on the other parameters. So always the borrowing is an option which they have to go for it. 17 huge borrowing the government has to do to initiate its developmental funding, infrastructure. Lot of infrastructures are there. So this is on the total revenue side, how the government matches total 45,03 crore budget, how it matches the revenue wise. So these are all the revenue budget or revenue collections of the Mr. Salil, first panelist. So to throw his light on the budget, in between I will be adding the other parameters like how the expenditure, how the taxation amendment and all those things. But now I would like Salil to take over and enlighten us on his.
Follow the budget. In fact, India is one of the few countries where budget is a big deal. It's flashed in the papers, because I have worked in the corporate for 25 years. I made probably 20 odd budgets. I have never been able to make everybody happy. There's no single budget that will make everybody happy, because there are constraints, right? You have 100 rupees, and if you had no constraint, you would like to spend 300 rupees. Now you have to allocate this 300, you have to reduce it to 100 where you will spend. And to his point, when you are a growing country or a growing growing companies have what's called negative working capital, and growing economies will have negative, deficit or fiscal deficit budgets. So you may kind of allocate 105 or 110, but you can never allocate 300. So the point to understand is a budget can never satisfy everybody. Now people will like or dislike based on how it affects them. A cigarette smoker may not like the budget too much because the duty has increased. An online betting guy may not like the budget because the TDS has increased. Somebody who sends money overseas, these panelists here, they may not like the budget because there's now a new 20% TDS that has come, withholding. So it depends on how it affects you, and therefore it's very difficult to give a comment saying whether the budget is good or not. But to just to comment what I felt of the budget, I think it is overall, given the constraints, given the geopolitical situations, given the macro conditions, it is a very good attempt at balancing growth, inclusiveness, push for neo sectors, manufacturing, agriculture. They try to balance everybody. Uh, of course, the tax breaks for middle class, etc. Given election in mind, we'll keep that aside. But even otherwise, at an overall level, push for infrastructure, because infrastructure is encouraging. It should boost the economy. It should drive growth. But again, you can always nitpick. There are so many things the government failed to address. Capital gain rationalizations. I think even the estimates are a little aggressive. Be it disinvestment targets, be it GDP growth rates. A lot of that's, as I said, every budget you have to assume so many things, and there is so many assumptions, and sometimes you assume in your favor because you are making the budget, and people may or may not agree to it. So which is fine, I think. But my overall feel is it is a very balanced, growth-oriented budget.
Thank you, Salim. That's a nice thought. Like, we cannot expect everybody to be happy with the budget. There are some unhappy people also. Okay, can you go for next slide? So as we have seen from our first slide, we have gone through the revenue. Very important is where the money is going. So next, when you come to the expenditure, very important, central government total expenditure is 35.13 lakh crore, which is very important expenditure. Central sector schemes, there are many schemes which the purely central government runs. There are some of the schemes which the participation is there, like railways. If the center gives a 49%, state has to contribute land and also a remaining amount. So like that, there are schemes. You can see the last column where there is an allocation. Central expenditure is 35.13 lakh crore. It is a combination of next three, like other expenditure, establishment expenditure, salary, pension, where the major amount is going. That's why you see that NPS has been bought, because whatever revenue we are collecting, it is going in maintaining gone with not to go with the pension scheme. It has introduced the NPS. Also, a lot of tax shops have been given. Grants it will do. Centrally sponsored schemes, 4.76 crore which will go. Finance commission grants, like as you told, no, all the is giving for 5 years. It has assured that whatever the revenue we have lost by implementing the VAT to GST regime, we will give the reimbursement of the same. Almost it has given the reimbursement for many years, and I think it is the last year where the reimbursement is happening. That is also 1.65 crore the amount is going. And local bodies, it has to give 47,000 crore. Urban bodies, it is giving 24,000 crore. And post devolution of the revenue deficit grants, it has to give it to the state. So total expenditure for the year is 45,03,000 crore. This is the volume of the budget where the government has make this investment for the year. So this is a brief introduction of how the government is planned to spend its money, whatever it is collected. So with this, I will give a break, and now I will hand over my next presentation session to the Banudas, where he can enlighten us on the next issue on his opinion.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kulkarni, for these slides, because okay, thanks for I would like to spend 2 to 3 minutes in just setting the context of my thoughts, and then I will have my thoughts. So going back, it's lovely to be in Jain University. I attended my CA classes. Not here, in another campus in Baswangudi. And very interesting thing happened while I was, just starting my CA classes. That's the first time, probably the weakest government ever known in Indian history presented the budget in the year 1997 by one Mr. P. Chidambaram. And that is the budget, interestingly, has set trend even today. The most, probably the weakest government headed by, here, Devegowda, right? And the tax rates, which we are talking about today, were done in that budget. And we are still following we have changed the slab. We need to understand first, what is the context of, budget today? What was budget then? What is budget today? What is the kind of analysis going to be doing this in the future? So what is the kind of analysis? Do we do the same analysis, which we did 10, 20, 30 years ago? No, we have to change. We have to change the way we are reading the budget. The old ways of looking at the budget, how much about deficit, how much is, borrowings. It doesn't seem to be playing today, rightly. Or why is that, these loss-making companies are continuously being funded? There is something very similar in this budget happening. If you look at the numbers, we have now have 5.9% of GDP is the fiscal deficit for the current year. Okay, and that dream budget in 1926. This is clearly not conventional wisdom. The regular analysis of telling that, whether this is right or wrong is not quite there. The second aspect is, if you've been noticing over the last 5 to 10 years, or maybe even more, the big bang announcements don't happen always in the budget, because every announcement is, discussed over and over again. So the governments in the past have preferred, to keep budgets at, some level and keep introducing scheme as and when, it goes. So budget is today not the be-all end-all statement the way it used to be, some time back. With that, then what do we currently look at the budget? I look at, specifically 3 things. One is, what is the message at large this budget is giving? Second thing, message at large this budget is giving. Second thing, what are the trends? So any economy needs to have stability. So the trends are very important. It's not whether we are doing things, in a particular way. We have to continue doing it in that way for some time to come, so that we can, see results. Third is when I'll get to the numbers, we'll talk a bit about fiscal deficit, we'll talk a bit about growth and what it all, entails. So first, what is the message? We know we have all got tax breaks, but there's one thing very interesting this government has done is that in the election year, they have cut taxes for the richest of the rich. Okay, the surcharge has come from 37.5% to 25%. No government in the past, in the right senses, will cut taxes for the rich in the election year. I tried looking it up. I couldn't find, probably sometime they might have done it, but I really couldn't remember that. So the statement is significantly reducing. Okay, we have a still, when I get to the numbers, I'll tell you, it's still very high, but it is definitely not, increasing. The third, to this year, investing more and more into, this time it's 10 lakh crores. That's a phenomenal amount of investment that is happening, given the kind of, GDP we are having. So the trends are all, right. We are getting into a era where, economics is playing over politics, which is great news for all of us. The correct trends are being established. There is a lot of stability that is going on with the government very, very quickly. So I mentioned about the fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit of 5.9% going down to 4.5% is phenomenally high. Biggest concern is that with the growth rate envisaged of 6.8%, 5.9% of fiscal deficit is not sustainable. This, the political, speakers call it as a calculated risk, but this is something which we have to, watch very closely. Second aspect is, expenditures in defense. Do I still have another 2 minutes? Yeah. I just want to talk about three aspects. The top three expenditures of the government, if as pulled out here, the top expenditure of the government is still interest payments, and that is continuing to rise. Which is expected aspect is the defense budget. So the defense budget is, again, it's been stable, and once the Agni budget, it is expected to come down. That's a great sign. We are following the global trends. Third aspect is the central government schemes. So the central government schemes are the third biggest expenditures. These are the top three expenditures of the government. Third biggest expenditure, central government schemes, though, are not reducing, are not increasing. If we can take heart from the fact that that these schemes are not increasing because there's a lot of subsidy bills, food subsidy, and agricultural subsidies. There are a number of subsidies still in wake. They have not taken active steps to cut it, but at the budget. So I'll hand it over back to Kulkarni for taking this further.
Thank you, Panada sir. So that was nice issues which are currently the government is facing, and also what the people are looking at it. So my next slide is, as the sir told, during 1997, that was even a coalition government where the performance was very bad from the budget point of view. One good thing about that government is highest revenue got collected because of a VDIS scheme. I still remember I was some tax consultant. We were almost 3 months work day and night to make a people's declaration, that is black to white, where the highest voluntary disclosure and income scheme, highest revenue got collected, and also a lot of people by declaring highest money. Whatever you declare, there was no compulsion, but you have to pay a little bit higher rate of tax of 30%, 40%. Highest revenue Kannadiga. That is the one good thing we have to do it. So that is the one thing. Coming to the next aspect, as sir told, the more damage has not done. So that is the one good thing, that the lot of tinkering is not happening towards not allowing some deduction or withdrawing or bringing any retrospective amendment. Retrospective amendment is something like a crime what the earlier government has committed. Because if you see the Vodafone case, Vodafone has traveled from legal aspect, from CIT appeal, tribunal, high court, everywhere it has won, and even a Supreme Court it has won the case. And next government turned the case, saying that they brought an amendment to the provision where that Supreme Court case has been nullified. So that kind of a harsh measures has not been taken in this budget. We are moving from a popularistic budget to the futuristic budget, what I can say. So with this, I will give another number facts about the budget. If you see, the revenue expenditure is totally 35.02 lakh. With this, I will give another number facts about the budget. If you see, the revenue expenditure is totally 35.02 lakh more in infrastructure. There is saying that if a government wants to pump in the money to the economy, directly it can give. That is a one easy method, but that will make people idle, and that will not add value to the country as such. Instead of that, it's a contracting job, and people will get a labor requirement is there, raw material requirement is there, and in that area, wherever the development is happening, that area gets developed. So like that, 1 rupee investment it makes, it will bring the 7 rupee capital. So that's how the government has thought of it, and also made an investment of 10 lakh crore in the investment, which is very much a push for the against the last year. There is an increase of almost 35%. Recovery of loans is also there, 23,000 crores. And net, if you see last, fiscal deficit is around 5.9%. Fiscal deficit is something like your expenditures are more than your revenue. So this is more by 5.9%. And also there is a revenue deficit. Revenue deficit is your revenue expenditures are more than your revenue collection or excess of revenue expenditure by 2.9%, where earlier it was 4.10%, it has reduced. So these are the good things in the for his view on the budget.
Good morning. Coming to the budget, just I would like to share my experience prior. Coming to the budget, just I would like to share my experience prior to GST implementation 2017. Budget day when we were working in the industry, 28th February was the budget earlier. Those days, so many policy changes, rate of tax, excess duty, service tax. So budget day is like a very important day for corporates as well as government. So those dates have gone now. Those dates now every GST council meeting is a budget meeting. So excise is gone. Now the GST is there. No changes are permitted. Any changes as requires GST council. So really the cream of budget importance is gone. Point number one. Second thing is just to show the for young minds. Earlier income tax, so many changes were there, so many provisions were there, so many directions. Now government has made very clear saying that no benefit, as you were saying in the no concessionals. This is they wanted to simplify the tax structure. So with their income tax also very few changes. So with this background, the real budget changes are not happening. It's happening as and when it comes. This government. Coming to the current year budget, my comments are is a very very good budget. This government. Coming to the current year budget, my comments are is a very very good budget for the business people pro India. Madam said we are laying a foundation stone for India at 100. Now India at 100. So many policies. Now another thing is any budget if you call normally how we will collect as you're saying receipts versus expenditure. Expenditure there is a pressure to meet receipts. To collect the receipts only one way is to levy the taxes. I think which are seen for last 20 years. This is one of the government where not much levies other than rationalization. As you were telling, even highest super rich tax they reduced, income tax, whatever corporate taxes, 15%, 22%, 30%. So totally rationalized. Just to say that India we are on the growth path. I think, madam, what she put saying is achieving 5 trillion economy is a target. In the direction, as I was telling, 1 rupee capex increases tax structure. Coming to this, the government initiatives from the economic point of view, as you said, budget has got less scope for the taxes, more scope for the economic policies. This government has made a lot of infrastructure developments, lot of spending, digitization, second priority, and also lot of SSIs, my startup, they're giving a lot of benefits. Coming to MSMED, one major change what is made is in order to, as I said in the statement, pro budget. So industry, SSIs, there is a one act, I think, which you are aware, MSMED Act. Yes, SSIs sector, they're struggling with the funding. So though government has made the law for making payment of within 45 days, is not happening. So in this budget, government has made a very clear restriction saying that unless you make payment before filing your income tax return, you will not get the deduction. So these are some of the economic policy matters is taking a long way in the economic development. So this budget, my comments are that it is a very pro-industry budget. They are taking care of all sectors. You call agriculture, you call defense, you call MSMED, you call even cooperative society. So from my comments are that with this policy initiatives in the government place, digitization and also other factors. So going forward, we'll have a next year going forward. Again, we are saying this, they wanted to make simplification. Another point which they have done is ease of doing business and also